Hey, what's up guys? It's DarkArmedDuelist and today we're going to be doing a Suship deck profile. So I'm really excited this week guys because this is one of the most unique decks I've seen created in Yu-Gi-Oh! In a while and I absolutely love it. It's really interesting because you actually get to build your own sushi to be your boss monster, and if you use the correct ingredients for the recipe for your extra deck monsters, you'll actually get bonus effects, which is a really neat concept for this deck. And this deck is right up my alley because I actually love to make sushi and it's one of my favorite foods, so I love this deck. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name in the description of every single video, getting a signed card sent in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this and make some sushi. So we're going to be playing 3 copies of Suship Sara or Suship Rice. This card is a key card in the entire deck. It does have 2,000 attack points, so it is very good to just normal summon this card out to your side of the field. It's a really amazing card and one of the key components of making the sushi, because sushi normally has to have rice. So this card is going to be the base for all of your extra deck monsters, and it gives all of them bonus effects when you use this card as a material. We then play 3 copies of the Suship Ikara, which is also caviar. And this card has the ability that if you control a Suship Sara or Suship Rice, then you can special summon this card from your hand. And you can only special summon this card once per turn this way. During your main phase, you can excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, and if you do, you can either add to your hand or special summon one excavated Suship Rice, and also shuffle the rest back into the deck, giving you another level 4 on your side of the field, so you can actually go in for one of your extra deck monsters. We then play 3 copies of the Suship Fish. This card is really good for the deck as well. If you control a Suship Rice or an XZ monster that has a Suship Rice as a material, you can special summon this card from your hand, except another copy of itself, you can special, during your main phase, you can special summon a Gunkin monster from your hand except another copy of itself, and then you take any number of Gunkin Suship Rice from your deck or graveyard and place them on top of your deck in any order, which helps you combo with your Suship Caviar, because then you can kind of know what you're going to be excavating, so you can special summon out additional cards. We then play 3 copies of this Suship Uni. Uni is actually Urchant, which is kind of neat for this deck as well, that you can reveal one other Gunkin card in your hand and special summon this card from your hand, then apply the following effects based on the revealed card. If you revealed Suship Rice, you can special summon the revealed monster, and if it's another card, place the revealed card on the bottom of the deck. And it also has the ability that you can target one Gunkin monster you control and change its level to 4 or 5. Then you can add a Gunkin Suship Rice from your deck to your hand, which is a really good effect just to be able to activate, to be able to change the level, so you can actually go in for your rank 5, and it helps out the deck a lot. We then play 3 copies of Rescue Rabbit, because you can actually use Rescue Rabbit to get out your copy of your Suship Rice really easily onto your side of the field with this particular card and get multiple copies so you can go into multiple XZs. We play 3 copies of Parallel XZs because you actually do have a couple of cards in the extra deck that are link monsters that help you go in for additional plays by summoning out Parallel XZs onto your side of the field. Because this card has the ability that if you special summon a link monster to your field, you can special summon a Parallel XZs to a zone that card points to, and you can also follow that Parallel XZs out on your side of the field with another one, and then make them both level 4, which is really easy to go into a rank 4 with both of them. We then play 3 copies of Psyframe Gear Gamma, because these are really good in the deck to be able to go in for additional plays and go in to stop your opponent from hand trapping you, and a single copy of Psyframe Driver. Driver is here because you combo with your copy of Psyframe Gear Gamma to go in for all sorts of different plays in this deck. We then play a single copy of Dark Magician and a single copy of Red Eyes Black Dragon, because we do play the Dragoons package in this deck, because it does help out the deck a lot to be able to swarm the field with your Suship boats and also summon Dragoons to your side of the field to go in for all sorts of crazy plays, which is usually what we use the copy of Gamma and Driver for, is we link away for a copy of Anaconda. After we link the Driver away for a Link Spider, you can actually go in for your Anaconda and then summon all your Suships to your side of the field and finally summon out a copy of Dragoons with all the Suships. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Monster Reborn. Monster Reborn is a great extender for this deck and helps out the deck a lot to bring back your copies of your Suship Rice back to your side of the field, or XZ monsters, so we can go into a really powerful XZ monster that's in the extra deck. One copy of Terraforming, because it actually searches our field spell that we play in the deck. I have debated actually dropping the Terraforming for a Called by the Grave, but this card has helped me out a lot, so I have just kept it at 1 in the deck. We then play a single copy of the Red Eyes Fusion. Red Eyes Fusion is here because you're going to send it to the graveyard with your copy of Anaconda to be able to go into your copies of your Red Eyes Dark Dragoons. We then play 3 copies of my personal tech for this deck, and I absolutely love this card in this deck, and it's 3 copies of Piercing the Darkness. So this card is a very unique card for this deck, because if you normal or special summon a non-token normal monster, you get to draw a card, which is a really good card effect for this deck because it actually will let you draw a card anytime you summon your copy of Rice once per turn. And it also has a very unique effect that makes your Suships get even bigger, with the effect of that when an attack is declared involving an opponent's monster and a monster that you control that is a level 5 or higher normal monster, or was ritual summoned using a normal monster, or was fusion, synchro, exceed, or using a normal monster as a material, you can make that monster that you control gain attack equal to the opponent's monster. So you can actually make your Suships be able to basically attack with whatever attack points your opponent has and give them moon mirror shield effects almost, or honest effects, where you attack into the opponent's monster and they gain the attack of the monster that they're attacking, which is really amazing because you're always going to be using your copy of your Suship Rice. So this card is always live, which is what's really amazing. And it also combos with our Red Eyes Dark Dragoons as well in this deck. We then play 3 copies of the Suship Yard Seaside Supper Spot. This card is a great 3-of because it lets you once per turn, if you normal or special summon a Gunkin monster, even during the damage step, you can place a Gunkin card from your deck on top of your deck, and then once per turn, if a face-up Gunkin monster that you control that was special summoned from the extra deck is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card, activate this effect that your opponent pays life points exactly equal to the monster's defense in the graveyard, and then you apply this effect to special summon a Gunkin Suship Rice from your hand, and then special summon a Gunkin XZ monster from your extra deck by using that card that you control as a material, which is pretty good, and it is actually treated as an XZ summon. We then play 3 copies of Unexpected Die, because the Unexpected Dies are basically here to special summon out your copy of your Suship Rice to your side of the field a little bit easier. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, I'm actually playing 3 copies of the Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine and a single copy of the Gunkin Suship Daily Special. This card is a really good card in the deck. The copies of the Shade Brigandine are basically here because you're going to use them to special summon themselves out to your side of the field as level 4s, and they help out a lot because if you don't have a trap in the graveyard, you can actually activate them the same turn that they were set. And the effect of your Suship Daily Special is that when you activate this card, you can also reveal 1 Suship Rice in your hand, and then it has the ability to reveal 3 Gunkin monsters from your deck, and your opponent chooses 1 of them to add to your hand and also shuffle the rest back in the deck. And if you revealed a Gunkin Suship Rice in your hand to activate this effect, you can choose to add to your hand instead of your opponent choosing it. You get to choose what card that you get, which is pretty good. And if this card is in your graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you can banish this card and then target 3 of your Gunkin monsters in the graveyard and shuffle them back in the deck and then draw a card, which is pretty good because you get an effect of like a Pot of Avarice, which is pretty neat. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of the Suship Uniclass Super Dreadnought. This card is a pretty good 2-of in the deck. I just feel like you need it at 2. I have considered cutting it down to 1 in this extra deck because I wanted to play something like a Time Thief Redoer, but it is an option for you guys. But this card is really good because it has the ability, if this card is XZ summoned using these certain materials, you get certain effects. If you use Suship Rice, you get to draw a card, and if you use the Suship Uni, then this card can attack directly, which is a really good effect to be able to go into Zeus with this card. It also has the ability that once per turn during your main phase, or if your opponent, or excuse me, once per turn during your main phase or your opponent's battle phase, quick effect, you can target one face-up card your opponent controls, on up to the number of Gunkin monsters you currently control, and special summon them from the extra deck and negate their effects, which is a pretty good effect just to be able to get you additional monsters, and this card is absolutely fantastic in this deck. We then play 2 copies of the Gunkin Suship Carrier. Carrier is also a great 2 of in this deck. I don't feel like you need any more than 2 carriers, because if this card is a Z summon, you get to apply the effects depending on the materials that it has. If you summon it with rice, you get to draw a card, and if you summon it with the fish, then you get to add a Gunkin spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And when a face-up card on the field, or when this card is in the field spell zone, a Gunkin monster you control, especially summoned from the X deck, cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, and it gains attack equal to its original defense if you have a field spell, which is pretty good because we're trying to get to Supper Spot as quickly as possible, so this card will actually go up to 2550. We then play 2 copies of the Ikura class Dreadnought. This card is a really good card for the deck too. If you use a copy of Rice to summon this card, you get to draw a card, and if you use an Ikura to summon this card, you can make a second attack during each battle phase, and then once per turn, when your Gunkin monster special summoned from the extra deck inflicts damage to your opponent, you can target a card your opponent controls and destroy it, which is pretty good to give you additional pops. We then play a single copy of Daigusto Emerald, which lets us shuffle back our cards back into the deck and then draw a card, or it lets us special summon a non-effect monster from the graveyard, which is actually the Rice. We then play a single copy of Gaga Magician. This card is pretty good to be able to actually summon out your copy of F-Zero, because it will actually revive an XZ monster from the graveyard, which helps us out a lot to go into F-Zero, and then a copy of Utopic Draco Future, which is a great combo piece for this deck, because these cards help out the deck a lot because it gives you additional negations. We play a single copy of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus to board wipe, a single copy of Cyframe Lord Lambda, because you can actually use any monsters except for tokens to link summon this card, so you can actually use your copies of your Suship Rice and your Shade Brigandine to summon this card, which is pretty good. A single copy of Anaconda, because you can actually go into Dragoons with this card. One copy of Link Spider, because you can link summon this card using Rice or Brigandine to be able to go into this card and then special summon Parallel Xyz to your field, which is helpful, or use this card to actually go into Anaconda if you have a Rice on your field, because it requires effect monsters to go into it. And then finally, a single copy of Dragoons for the last monster for the extract, because this card is an absolute beast. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects. Neither player can target the card effects, and can target a monster on the field up to the number of normal monsters that you use to summon this card, and destroy those monsters, and then inflict damage to your opponent equal to those monsters' attack points. And it has the ability to negate something once per turn by discarding a card, and when it does, it gains 1000 attack. Now, I have debated actually changing this out for the copy of Destiny Arrow Phoenix Enforcer, or playing both of them in this deck, because the copy of Phoenix Enforcer combos very well with Dasher in the build to be able to special summon out additional monsters, which was what the original thought was, but I thought I would like to play Dragoons in this deck a little bit more, because the Dragoons actually gives me a negate. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to play around with, and the main Suship monsters are actually extremely cheap. You can actually pick up like all of the Suship monsters and all of like the core of the Suship deck for like $5. It's really crazy how you can actually pick up the entire deck that cheaply, and it's just a really fun deck to play around with. There's a lot of decks that you can actually mix it with, but this is actually the pure variant, and I really like the way that it turned out. So anyways, guys, this is Dark Arm Duels. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.